If you load it up big, you better clear the rest. The solvent list takes away all my stress. Life's been feeling like kind of a mess. I'll never let a hater make me think less, because everything before this was just a test.
Bagsy Chronicles.
I'm riding, all the homies with me. Yeah, we've been getting hella faded. Just like our eyes, we be staying low-key. Vibing out, always staying medicated. I'm riding, all the homies with me. Yeah, we've been getting hella faded. Just like our eyes, we be staying low-key. Vibing out, always staying medicated. I'm about to go up in a blaze. I don't give a fuck unless I'm getting paid. When life gives you lemons, better make lemonade. When the girl gives you heads, you better...
Hello, all. It is Uncle Dig, and this is the Bag Seed Chronicles, and it, as always, has been too long. Today, I have a lovely interview with Joe Blunt about rolling blunts, pickling peppers, and all kinds of backyard fun. I also have a garden update, as my winter garden is in full swing. Now, I'm going to be getting a little more serious with the Bag Seed Chronicles. Not in that the contents of the show is going to become more serious. I'm going to get more serious about producing the show. Because other projects are falling off, and I need to make the show more of a priority. The Cannabis Corner, my show with Lucas Barfield on Radio Tacoma, is on an indefinite hiatus and will be wrapping up with a goodbye episode soon. If that is cool with Lucas, I'll probably post that audio on here, and I'm sure he'll have no problem with it. I may be doing a show with Evan from Bong Loads and BS, or Smokin' Okies, for you old heads out there, again, soon, but that show will not be entirely or even primarily cannabis-focused. More on that later. I am going to be coming up with more segments that rotate through the shows, and existing segments may rotate back through. I will once again be posting more frequently. I may take podcasting breaks between grows, but if I am growing, I should probably do garden updates. Eventually, I may monetize the podcast. I am not there yet in terms of download numbers, but eventually I may do some crowdfunding. This show isn't expensive to produce, but it doesn't cost nothing. And I would love to have the absolute decadence of a travel budget. I would also like to buy nicer equipment. I don't like the idea of outright ads on the show. If you want to send me a product and I like it, I may mention it on the podcast, but that really has never been the focus of the show. So that leaves crowdfunding in my mind. I will continue to produce fake ads, of course. If you want to help me grow the show, plant a seed, and share the show with a friend. If you really want to help grow what you have planted, leave a good review on the podcatcher of your choice. As the seasonal depression and post-punk bass lines pound through our bodies, let's look to the artificial lamps that light our gardens to give us the only light in winter's darkness. Listen to The Cure and smoke weed, kids. It's December, and winter's cold, dead hand comes cloying. Let's overgrow the world. Uncle Dig's garden update. Hello, it is Friday, December 1st, 2023, and we are in the eternal summer of indoor growing. And this is Uncle Dig with your garden update. Now, I have all Spider Farmer lights running around 50% at 18.6 light cycles in my tents. They will slowly be cranked up to 60% over the next few days, then height adjusted as the plants grow, making it eventually out at around 93 to 100%, depending on how large the plants are and how much light they tolerate. In my big 4x4 tent, I have 6 plants going. The G14 did not germinate. My oldest plants are at day 10. They are 3 planetary gas. They are established and watering normally. All of my plants that I am going to discuss today are autoflowers. We are at day 7 for the gummy bears from Atlas Seed. This was a freebie I got from Multiverse Beans when I ordered this latest run of Planetary Gas. We are at day 4 for the Blue Eyes White Dragon, also from Gemseeker Genetics. She is doing fine. And day 3 from the GMO for Atlas Seeds, which is also a freebie. The Planetary Gas I use mainly for late evening smoke, and sometimes even I'll smoke it before I go to bed. I don't know what I'm going to do with the gummy bears and the GMO from Atlas. We'll kind of see how they fit. Usually GMO is an afternoon relaxing indica for me. We'll see. And like I said, I have no idea what the gummy bears is going to be like. I've never smoked it. I've never grown it. Now, in my first smaller 2x2, I have 2 Girl Scout cookies seedlings. One at about day 10 and one at about day 7. I haven't honestly been as good about my notes for this particular tent. I missed a few milestones. Now, in the 2x2 number 2 of the larger 2x2s, it's the larger of the 2x2s, 2x2 number 2. Jeez. I have 5 plants going in there. I went a little overboard when the G14 failed to germinate. I got worried, and I overdid it. I overgrew my world. So I have 5 plants in there. I have 3 orange sherberts in 3 gallons. All the plants in here are for 420 fast buds. And 2 big buds in 1 gallon plants. I don't know exactly how that's going to go, but I always plant autos in their final home. So I'm going to grow these 2 little big buds in 1 gallon pots. We'll see how that goes. The big bud are at 4 and 3 days respectively, and all of the orange sherberts are about 3 days old. So I have 13 autoflowers going. It's going to be a busy winter, but quite a productive one. Oh, and the Girl Scout cookies, I mainly consume just as an all-around good cannabis. Like if I only had one cannabis I can enjoy, I don't know that, like maybe the Planetary Gas or like some of the Jaeger that a buddy of mine grows, or I don't know. Maybe this Girl Scout cookie would be on the short list of strains that I really wouldn't want to live without. I really enjoy it. And then the Big Bud I have no experience with. I've just been messing around, going through some old seed stock. And the Orange Sherbet I'm growing kind of for me, but mostly for my silent partner. Let's overgrow the world. Everyone, please welcome to the Bag Seed Chronicles, Joe Blunt, a man of many names and many flames. How are you doing this fine morning?
I'm fine. How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. It's good to talk to you again. I feel like we don't talk enough, but also we talk more than some of my other friends for sure. What are you smoking on today?
Smoking on some laser gun by Preferred Gardens right now.
Nice. Is that more of an indica leaner?
No, it's a Z cross. It's a Thin Mints cross to Skittles.
Oh, that sounds good.
It's really tasty.
Does it really bring out the mint on the Thin Mints, or is it more of a sweeter strain?
It's more of a sweeter strain. It's got that candy.
Nice. I've been big on candy terps. One of the people that I've had on the podcast here, Gemseeker Genetic, actually breeds autoflowers, and a lot of his autoflowers have like really good like grape like candy terps.
Ooh, that sounds good.
Yeah, I should send you some beans one of these days. They're hard to part with because they're some of the best autoflowers I've grown so far.
I haven't tried autoflowers. I have to try them.
They're a little bit sensitive in the beginning, but once they get going, they're worth the initial investment and time for sure, I think.
That's good. Yeah, I need to try them out.
So let's talk blunts for the audience, because I realized I have some people that tune into my podcast that don't actually like know like a lot about weed. Like some of them don't know anything, it turns out, which is kind of blows my mind. But hey, I love anyone who wants to listen. But what is a blunt for the audience?
A blunt is a tobacco leaf. There's many different kinds. There's a processed tobacco leaves, which is like the Swishers, the Dutches, anything that isn't an actual leaf, and it gets processed into a machine and made into like a cardboard wrap, pretty much.
Okay.
Then they flavor it just to make it a little better.
Okay. So basically it's weed rolled in a tobacco wrap or a tobacco leaf.
Yep, that's what a blunt is.
Okay. And ugh, lost my train of thought. This is great going is off to a great start. So when did you start rolling blunts?
Um, First time I rolled a blunt was the first time I actually got high.
Oh wow. So so when you got your first little bit of weed, your first instinct was to roll it in a Philly? What was it?
No, it was a Swisher, and it was I had smoked before, but I didn't get high. So I tried out a highlighter pipe with my friends, and it didn't get me high. But
We've
then,
talked about smoking some Mexican brown out of a highlighter pipe. That's how I tried to get high the first time, and it didn't really work for me either.
yeah, and then well, I got in hold of one of my friends with some Arizona stress, which is like some fluffy stress from back in the day. It's still some Reggie, but it was nicer looking, all seeded up. And I didn't know any better. I just broke it down with seeds and stems, and I rolled it up
Oof.
into a blunt. I didn't even know how to break the blunt.
Oh, so
So
when you break the blunt in half so you can roll the weed in it.
yeah, I
So
don't know
did
how
you
to
just
split
shake
the
it all
blunt.
out the front?
No, I ripped it with the knife, and it kind of worked. It was a little zigzaggy, and it was a messed up blunt, but it got me so high.
I remember the first blunt I ever smoked was not a blunt of weed. I was in the army and I had bought some spice at a head shop and I
Ooh,
got oh I know yeah it was gnar. I got a I think I can't even remember what kind. It was like a grape flavored wrap of some kind. And I put like a gram and a half of this shit in this fucking blunt. I smoked half of it and it fucked me up so much, man. Like spice is not the same as weed. Don't smoke spice, kids. It's bad for you. And apparently it's hard for some people to quit. I only
what's
smoked that.
addicting?
What's that?
It's addicting.
That's
That
what
is.
that's what some people say. I only ever smoked the one bag, and the only reason I smoked the last bit of it, it was kind of stupid because I knew I didn't like it, but I wasn't gonna like throw away drugs I had bought, so I smoked it all, even though I didn't really like it. It was so dumb.
Hey, that's your money spent right there.
I bought this bullshit, so I'm gonna finish it.
Yeah, I bought some bullshit weed and I had to finish it too.
Yeah, and I understand recently you've been rolling like getting rolling gigs, like making pretty decent change, right? You're kind of professional roller now.
Not professional, but knocking on doors and seeing what opportunities open up.
Semi-professional.
Yeah,
You're in the
knocking on
minor
doors,
leagues of professional rolling.
trying to get there. The goal is to be able to roll for like a professional basketball player, somebody that could make some good money off of.
Oh, totally, totally. Like I just recently saw I follow a few rolling accounts. Actually, a lot of them I think I ended up finding out through your account. I don't know if this is one of them. But I think she's called Grasshopper or something.
I haven't seen hers.
But
So
she just recently rolled for Mike Tyson. She rolled a bunch of hash holes for him.
that's amazing right there. That's great. That's cool. Shit, I'm gonna check that out.
So let's talk about hash holes. So for people that don't know, hash is any kind of concentrate in general. So any kind of cannabis that's been processed down into its essential oil or the dry version of the trichomes, it can also be hash, and it's a concentrate. So you're talking, whereas normal cannabis could have a percentage anywhere, let's say nowadays anywhere from 12 to 23%, let's say. I mean, it goes higher, it goes lower, but that's about where you're going to find it. Concentrates will be anywhere from 45 to 60% for dry sift hash, and upwards of 93 to 96% for BHO and other kinds of chemically processed hash, correct?
Yeah, for wax and hash, I don't know. I considered BHO wax, not hash. I feel like hash has to be more pure,
Okay.
like a water wash.
Water wash, dry sift, so
That's
no
it.
chemical process.
Yeah, no chemical process. That would be hash in my perspective.
Okay. See, I've always just thought of it as all kind of the same thing, but I can see your point. Because once you're talking about wax or concentrates, you're talking about a much more intensive,
Yeah,
usually a
process.
solvent process.
Yeah, more dangerous too, and everything.
Oh man, I remember in the late 2000s and the early 20 teens, people were constantly setting their
Blowing
houses,
up.
yeah, setting their houses on fire, blowing up,
Yeah.
making hash oil. I remember, did you ever see someone blowing it out through tubes?
No.
Oh man, that was big back here. It was so big. So the head shops would sell these big glass tubes with a nipple at one end. And
Oh
they
yeah, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, never mind.
right,
Yeah,
right, right. You ever see someone blast that, do that? So what they
yeah, I've seen it. Yeah.
yeah, I used to like have a friend who lived next to a dude, and he would ask him to warn, because they would go out in the backyard to do it so that they wouldn't burn their house down, the neighbors. So he would move his chicken to the other side of the property when they were doing it, because the all the butane vapors would just blow all over the place, dude. It's super gnarly. So for the audience, what we're talking about is blasting out BHO through glass tubes. You stuff a glass tube full of cannabis, and then you take a butane lighter refiller with a spray nozzle, and you jam that into that glass nipple, and it sprays butane at high pressure through all that weed, and the butane washes out into a glass container, and now it's got all of the essential oils from the weed in it, and then they slowly cook off that butane and what's left is BHO, or butane honey oil, and it's not the cleanest stuff, especially the way they were doing it back in the day, blasting it through glass tubes.
Yeah, now it's got a whole nother process which I'm not sure of, but it's more safer and it's easier to make.
Yeah, yeah. There's a couple different kinds now. I know there's alcohol distillate, which is, some by some people considered to be less flavorful. There's rosin press, which is, fresh press rosin is kind of like bridging the gap, I feel like, between like hash and like concentrates. That's kind of an in-betweener thing almost, because you're taking, dry sift hash, and then you're heating it and pressing it and further refining it, but you're not using any solvents. But
Yep.
you're still getting an extremely high concentratable concentrate that you can dab. You can put and it'll vaporize. So that stuff, I think, is probably the tastiest kind of concentrates you can get is fresh press rosin.
Yep. That's how you make the hash rolls too.
So
I like
that's what you're using to make your hash holes, is fresh press rosin.
Yeah, but you could use anything like you said. As long as you concentrate it right in the middle and roll it right, you can make anything. Put a little BHO, rosin.
So let's talk about your rolling setup, because I the other day I was talking to you, and of course I roll everything by hand. I'm only rolling for myself and like people in my life, so I'm not cranking out 150 in a day. I'm not doing any of that. And one time we were session on the video chat, just hanging out smoking, and you pulled out a plastic piece that looked like a stamp, and it had like a line down the middle of it, and you told me how you lined up the hash ropes along that. And I was like, "Oh, you've got tools." And you're like, "Oh yeah, I've got a whole like kit that I take with me." And I was like, "We got to talk about your rolling kit, because it never even, because I've got a grinder, and maybe I've got some scissors, and then I've got my hands and some papers and tips, and that's it for me. That's all I use, you know. So you're using way more than that, right?
Well, you don't need to use these tools, but when you're making a lot of them, yeah, it makes the job easier and faster. Of
So of
course.
course you've got a rolling tray. Anyone who rolls a lot, like I have a couple rolling trays. You've got that.
Oh yeah,
You've
I got a rolling tray. You always have to have papers, scissors. I carry scissors. I carry a glue guard pen.
a what's pen? A
A
glue
glue
gar
guard.
pen. Okay.
Yeah,
And glue gar is blunt glue or joint glue. So you're not actually spitting on anything that you're rolling for other people. You're just gluing it closed.
yeah. I'm not ever using this for anybody's product.
And then
Mm.
you've got like a little plastic V where you can put the paper and stack and really evenly put in the weed too, don't you?
Yeah, I just recently bought a tech tray.
Okay.
That's who they are. They're tech trays. If you guys want to go get them, you know, I'm not sponsored or nothing, but they work. So these are perfect for you lay down your tip, your paper, and you put the weed on the other side, and you can place it perfectly even all across. Like it pretty much wraps around the tip.
It makes it easier to roll hash holes because you can kind of put it in a little valley right there while you're rolling, can't you?
Yeah, it makes it so much easier.
So, question for you: what papers are you using when you're rolling doinks? Because I know you, for the listeners, doinks are like large joints that have like more than a gram and a half in them. They're really fat. They almost look like a shotgun shell sometimes.
Yeah, my favorite papers to use are the raw black, the
Okay.
king size blood classics
Okay.
for my personal rolls, but I always carry elements for everybody else's rolls.
Okay.
Everybody likes elements, so
I remember I used to roll cigarettes in element papers when I was in the army.
oh really?
Yeah, I thought they tasted better.
Get that slow burn, you know? Ah.
Yeah, yeah. Enjoy my cigarette break. Really take my time. I don't want to go back to work.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, so what kind of, so you also roll blunts too, don't you?
Yes, I only use Brothers Broadleafs, Packs and Pearls for my rolls, for my blunts.
I like those
Also,
too. Do you use the Havanas or do you use the dark leaves?
no, I use the Havanas.
I like the Havanas too. I've actually got some Havanas and some duds that are on the way here. Like I'm still kind of torn between the duds and the Havanas. The duds have a really nice light leaf, but sometimes the leaves are a little imperfect and harder to roll. But the Havanas are always perfect and almost have like a chocolatey taste with some weed. I really like them.
Yeah, I feel like you don't really taste the leaf itself. I'm not taste the weed a lot more.
Yeah, it can depend on the weed though, but I think there's definitely like weed that goes better in a blunt and then other weed that doesn't, if that makes sense. Like some weed
Well,
is kind of fresh tasting, and if you put it in a blunt, it almost gets overpowered by the wrap if it's the wrong kind of weed.
yes, definitely. And then I also use organotubes. Those are the
Okay.
tips that I use. And I usually make my rolls 2.5 grams.
Okay. That's a
And that's
bigger blunt.
yeah, it's a bigger burn. You know, it gets a good 30-minute to 20-minute burn.
You're
And
right. And is that what you're shooting for a blunt to burn about 20 minutes?
yeah,
Okay.
something that's enjoyable.
See, I've timed a couple of my like my eighth doinks when I roll an eighth into like a king size paper. And those last anywhere from 16 to 18 minutes. But I smoke kind of fast, so I don't know if they might last a normal person's a little bit longer.
Yeah, well, some people tell me that it lasts them a couple of days.
Oh, they'll just take like 5 or 6 hits off of it and then stub it out.
Yeah,
I mean, that's cool, but
I
man, I
can't
feel
do it.
like you're wasting a bit of weed smoking a blunt that way.
You're just wasting flavor.
Well, it tastes so good, yeah. But I guess at a certain point, some people don't smoke that much. So if they're gonna spend like, $20 or $25 or whatever it costs to buy like a hand rolled blunt, man, if you don't smoke that much, you probably want to hit we don't want to have more than one sesh with that. But like the only thing I could see myself putting out and relighting is like one of those crazy canagars where they're like on a like
On a
a
stick?
yeah, and
Yeah.
they've got like the pressed flour and wax and all this crazy stuff. I've done a multiple on one of those. I put it out and then later on in the day I relit it. But I only relit it once and it had so much wax in it you couldn't even tell I relit it. But I wasn't going to put it out again. You know what I mean?
That's crazy. I haven't tried one of those yet. I need to roll one of those.
I've thought about getting the kit, but like it was so special when someone gave two people have given me Canagar. Actually Corvidia, she's one of the people that was on the podcast in the early day. So she gave me one, and then my buddy Lucas also gave me one. And each one of them burned for something like 38 minutes and the other one burned I think for like 45 minutes and I can't remember which one was which because I could barely remember. They were very potent. But they came in at about 45 minutes each of just straight smoking and I was seshing with other people, so it wasn't just me.
Yeah, see, that's the point of these two. So say you got something special going on, you want to smoke a little blunt, you want to smoke something nice and big and it's gonna burn nice and even all the way through. Some good weed that you know it's good weed.
Well, and that's one thing that's kind of nice about blunts versus joints is even if you light them kind of uneven on accident, a lot of times a blunt will kind of even itself out as you're seshing. But like a lot of times a joint will just give you nothing but trouble if you don't light it evenly at first.
Yeah, that's true.
But a blunt has tobacco in it, and that's the one controversial thing about blunts.
Yeah, I always like to smoke a paper over a blunt.
I vacillate. I don't smoke blunts all the time, but I do like them on special occasions. It's something in me that's like, okay, something good happened. I should have a cigar. I don't know, but so I'll have a blunt. Because I'm not gonna smoke a cigar. Like that's probably I do it like if I'm hanging out with like a bunch of like older dudes who are like hanging around smoking cigars, I'll smoke a cigar with them. But I'm not gonna smoke a cigar like by myself at my house. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
If someone gives me a cigar at like a party and they want to smoke with me, I'll smoke a cigar. Like I like cigars, it's fine. But I'm not gonna get into the habit of smoking them at home because then I'm just gonna become a dude who smokes cigars.
yeah, that's not good.
No, no, you gotta
But
balance your vices. You can't have too many.
yeah, see, that's like when we're young, we always try to go as fast as we can, right?
Right.
And then we try to slow down once it's a little too.
Yeah, right. Once you're already like jacked up a little bit. How long
Well,
that's funny, but I kind of like that about weed. It doesn't like necessarily fix some things, but it can make like
like easier,
injuries that are always bothering you a little more tolerable.
definitely.
What are so speaking of pre-rolls, so let's say I rolled a blunt or a joint today and I put it in a tube, how long can I leave that there before I probably need to smoke it?
Depending on what type of tubes you have.
Okay, like let's say like a standard like dispensary style like pop tube, you know?
I'll say it all depends on what conditions the club has.
Fair enough. Fair
Yeah,
enough. Okay, how about one of yours? One of yours in your organotubes. I buy one off you. I throw it in a dresser drawer for a rainy day. How long
Oh,
is
it's gonna stay for a good time, you know.
like 3 to 6 months? You think I'm good?
Yeah, you should be good because it's temperature control tubes. They're like gorilla tubes.
Okay.
Yeah, these ones are amazing tubes. You know, they're not cheap. Like 80 cents a piece. That's pretty expensive
Right.
for a tube.
Okay. So you would say, but after about 6 months, I probably need to have my party with that.
Yeah,
Because I mean you've broken down the flour to put it in there. It's not all rocked up. And I know that like for me, if I store cannabis under what I consider to be ideal conditions on my property, after about 2 years, you really need to smoke it up. And I've only ever had weed make it that far 1 year. But when it did, I was like, oh shit, I need to smoke this. It's getting a little brown.
yeah. Well, it's like a year maybe.
It-
Yeah,
yeah,
that's what they consider. But it's everything starts degrading once you break it down. So I mean, ideally, you want to smoke it right away.
right. What are you I know you've been growing in the past. Are you going to be growing anytime soon on what right now or are you taking a little break?
Yeah, this year coming up, I'm probably just gonna do a pepper run.
Oh, that's cool though. You grow a lot of cool peppers.
Yeah, I'm gonna grow. I want to do a nice sized field of just some lemon aji peppers
Are
and try
you
to
are
do
you
it
going
raw.
are you going like so hard you're trying to market garden or are you just trying to have a bunch for yourself?
No, I'm gonna do a lot of them. I'm gonna do a little small batch hot sauce. You know, like pineapple lemon pepper hot sauce.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're going for it. You're going to make like 18, 19 jars of hot sauce, huh?
I'm going for more. I'm going for way more than
You're
that.
going to go sell them on the corner from a stand like one day
Hell
just
yeah! If I gotta go to market night, I'm gonna go to market night. Gotta go. You know, gotta do something.
That's kind of what I'm thinking about doing. I took last year off of growing peppers because I had such problems with pests. I figured if I only grew cannabis and not the other stuff, it would calm down a bit, and it kind of did. But I missed having peppers, fresh peppers at the house. So next year I'm going to grow some Hungarian black peppers again and just some jalapenos and some serranos, just basic stuff. But I like growing it. I like having it here at the house, and that's what I usually pickle. And I'm going to pickle some of those Hungarian blacks because I think they'll make a nice, beautiful pepper ring because they're this purple color.
Wow. I need to start pickling stuff. I haven't gotten into that.
Oh, I've got look like after this, like remind me down like later on in the week, text me or whatever on Instagram. I'll send you a picture out of my book. I've got this fresh pickle I like to use for peppers. They're only well, the recipe says they're only good for 2 months. I've eaten them 4 months after I've done this, but you do you. But I'll you just it's a quick pickle, so they're a little bit crispier and fresher, but it's so easy. You just boil like some vinegar, water, pepper, pickling salt, and garlic on the stovetop, and then you pour that over the chopped pepper rings in the jar. I use a pickle weight. You don't have to, and then you just let that cool off, and then put the lid on the jar and put that in the fridge, and then you wait a week, and then it's ready.
Okay.
Super simple. Yeah, and I'll send you the recipe later. It's you should try it. Get like I put mine in a quart jar. A pound fits in the, the not the half gallon, but the quart ball jar. Because I don't know about you, but I have weed. I have those for weed anyway. So I'll use a wide mouth one. Now I have two dedicated for pickling peppers, and I just pickle peppers in them. And a pound of peppers fits perfect in a quart jar. It's great.
Damn, that's good advice. I'm gonna have to learn how to do that for my hot sauces.
Well, now this is just straight pickling peppers. Make like fermenting hot sauces is a whole nother thing. I don't know how to do that. I made hot sauces that'll go like 6 months, but like a proper ferment where it'll go like a year or so, I haven't done that yet.
Okay, we're gonna learn today. Well, not
have
today, but we're gonna learn. We
you
have
have
to.
you done longer ferments?
Oh, well, I got some honey fermented peppers,
Oh, okay.
and they're not molded. It's been a year. It's been longer than a year, actually.
Listen to this cowboy. They're not molded. It's
What?
Oh yeah, you know what? Honestly though, it probably means they're safe to eat, I guess, until they're not molded. I don't know, dude.
I don't
Pickling.
know. I don't know. It's honey fermented in peppers. Like,
The only thing I've seen people ferment like stuff that's not honey and honey is I had a friend who honey fermented psilocybin mushrooms, but he
whoa.
but he didn't honey ferment them. I think he just mixed them in honey to make them taste better or
No,
something.
that is fermenting them. You just
Dude,
leave it and you put it inside of
it
a
was
dark
pretty
spot.
weird. It was good. We ate a bunch of it, got all zooted out. It was weird. It was fun.
Oh yeah, I need to try that.
I feel like it might have taken some of the potency out of the mushrooms. I'm not sure.
With all the vitamins in it, I don't know. It's
well,
probably so far.
well, I mean, you figure if something's fermenting, it's changing a little bit what the mushroom is, right?
Yeah, you're
I
right.
I don't know, and I don't know
No,
how long my friend suspended them in honey, dude. But also the mushrooms I was getting, um, before the last couple of years weren't as good as the mushrooms I've been getting the last couple of years, if you feel me.
yeah,
The last couple of years, because of someone I met, I've been able to get really, really, real like probably the best mushrooms I've ever gotten and I'll probably ever get. So that's cool, but I don't know how long that'll last.
yeah, I understand.
But yeah, and I don't do mushrooms like a lot. My thing is like I'll do like what I call a therapeutic microdose or like a kind of a moderate dose, like probably once every like 2 to 3 months. But I have to set aside time for it. My wife's disabled, I'm disabled, so I'm the only one of us that can drive right now. So I have to really like plan for when I'm gonna do mushrooms so that if something happens, like we can get somewhere. So a lot of times what I'll do is I'll wait until she goes on a girls' trip out of town, which doesn't happen so often, but every once in a while it does, and then I'll trip balls on mushrooms.
Yeah, I don't do mushrooms so much. I microdose them more than I do.
I kept trying to microdose them and fucking up. I would like, okay, let me eat half of what I ate last time. Okay, let me eat half of what I ate last time. And I would still trip balls. And then I finally successfully did it. And I was like, awesome. And then I didn't do mushrooms again. I haven't done mushrooms since I successfully microdosed. So it was a fun way to like figure out what a microdose was for me, though.
Yeah, I think they make capsules nowadays that are microdose.
Yeah, my next trip with mushrooms, I have some Texas wilds. So I think they're albino Texas wilds that a friend of mine gave me. And there's exactly 3 grams in there. That's the big dose of those. And
Um,
when
don't
the
do it.
time comes, I don't know when. I haven't been brave enough to do it yet, but when the time comes, I'm gonna eat all that and we're gonna go on a little adventure.
Oh. you're gonna go on an adventure for sure.
Well, I've got it. I've never really done the heroic dose. I think the most I've ever eaten is like 2 grams of
I've
anything.
only done three. I've done an eighth, and no, I'm not doing an eighth again.
I'm gonna go for 3. That's what I'm doing. Just shy of an eighth, not quite an eighth, but
You might as
I'm
well do the whole eighth.
what?
I said you might as well do the whole thing.
Oh no, 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 no. So the other parts that well, I don't know exactly how many I have. I think in that bag there was like 5 grams. But I ate like over the course of a little while, I ate 2 of it, and then I ate like 0.75, but I weighed out exactly 3 grams because that's the heroic dose of that. So I don't need to eat more than that of that particular um cultivar according to
Um,
the person who gave it to me. He also knows me, so maybe he doesn't want to eat me to eat that last half gram. I don't know. He's like, nah, 3's enough for you, bitch. Go on.
all right. So what type of techniques do you use when you roll?
Oh, when I roll weed?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I just I take the paper and usually I'll just grind up some weed. I'll put it in the paper, I'll even it out. I'll make a tray out of my 2 fingers on my left hand, and then I'll hold the paper with my thumb, and then I'll just kind of
Okay.
sprinkle the weed in there, even it out. I've got the tip in my mouth, pin and rolled to the size of the joint I want, and I'm holding it in my mouth as I'm doing this. And then when I'm done putting the weed in the paper, I grab it by the other end and I use my thumb and my middle finger on my right hand to make the tray. And then I use my index finger to hold the very end of the paper. And then I take the blunt, the tip out of my mouth with my left hand, put it in the tip, and then I roll. And then I roll it closed. So I give it like one roll to tighten it, and then I close it. And then if I'm smoking myself, I'll just lick that and close it, and then I'll give it. I'll push the tip all the way in if it's hanging out a little bit, and then I'll tap the joint on the top of my grinder like 3 times so that everything at the front of it settles into an even thing, and then I just close it up. Like I just twist the front, and then to make it flat, I use the tip of my index and my thumb as I'm twisting to make like a little attractive circle candy wrapper looking thing fold on the front of the paper.
All right.
And that's what I do when I roll a joint. And then depending on what kind of mood I'm in, I'll roll either a straight like doink looking one, or I'll roll a cone, just depending on my mood.
On a county or straight? Ooh.
Yeah, I can roll both. I can do both like pretty easily. And then I've rolled some more exotic stuff when I was younger in the game. I rolled a cross joint. I rolled a Dutch. I've rolled a lot of Dutch tulips. I like to roll Dutch tulips because they're obnoxious. They're just
Dutch
really,
tulip?
yeah.
I
Have
haven't
you?
rolled one of those. Was that the one that had like a lot of weed in a cone on the top and then
Yeah. So it's like, so you can either use a straw or I just use another joint. So I'll roll one regular, like long, kind of thin joint to make the stem. And then two you take 2 papers or one paper, and then you fold it in a triangle and close it. And then you fill that cone you've made, that big cone you've made by doing that, filled with like 2 grams of weed, and then you like push the this is super entertaining pod audio entertainment, by the way. You push the joint into that cone you've made and twist, and then you seal that with another adhesive thing from another wrapper. Like you tear off the wrapper and use that to glue that on there, and then you light the front of that, and when the cherry burns down, it looks exactly like a little tulip, and they look
hmm.
really attractive. when here's a pro tip. If you want to, guys, if you really want a Dutch tulip that looks more floral, go get juicy papers. They're really colorful. Or
Oh
get
yeah.
those or get those pink I can't remember what they're called, but they're pink papers. They have a picture of like a waitress 1950s style on them, but they're pink. You can buy colored papers. So you could make like you could use a watermelon juicy wrap to make the stem green, and then you could use like a strawberry one, and it'll also give it a weird floral smell when you light it if you use some milder weed. I mean, that's not, you're going to take away from the taste of the weed, but it makes a really pretty wrap that could be fun at a party for people who don't care how the weed tastes anyway?
Yeah, or for rolling competition.
Oh, yeah, for sure, dude. Or you could do that. Yeah. But as
Especially,
it got into more of the exotic stuff, I just lose patience. If anything takes more than like 10 minutes to roll, I don't want to do it anymore. I get tired. I just want to smoke weed. So like I'm not gonna roll a gingerbread man or a 747. Not gonna sit there and roll like a scale model of the Titanic like Tony Greenhand did on his show. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna do that. I like watching that stuff, but I can't do that. It takes too much time. I got others. I got plants to water.
dude, I need to try something like that though. I
There's
mean,
all kinds of tutorials on YouTube. Um, like, and then there's people that'll just tell you, like, I learned how to make tips for doinks from you. I just asked you. I was like, hey, I know how to roll big fat joints, but how do you roll the tips? And then you just told me it was really easy. You
yeah.
just roll one tip and then roll like five around it. There you go. But yeah, man, it's been excellent talking to you. I think we run out of steam right here. I think we're at about 40 something minutes. Where can the audience find you, and how can they contact you, especially if they're in Southern California looking for a blunt and they can't roll for shit? Maybe they want you to roll for them.
Yeah, you could find me at jb.selects.
And that's on Instagram, right?
Yes, only Instagram.
All
No
right.
Telegram, no nothing like that. So don't
All
get
right.
scared.
All right, everybody. That was Joe Blunt. Happy to have him back on the podcast. We are out of here. Let's overgrow the world.
All right, guys, take care.
All right. We're stopping the recording.
All right.
I think. Wait, hold on. Did we? Hold on. No.
It's
Stop.
Top Wisdom. S&T Records, let's get it. Zecca on the beat. I'm riding, all the homies with me. Yeah, we been getting hella faded. Just like our eyes, we be staying low-key. Vibing out, always staying medicated. I'm riding, all the homies with me. Yeah, we been getting hella faded. Just like our eyes, we be staying low-key. Vibing out, always staying medicated. I'm gonna get lit, take another fat rip off this bomb shit. Can't get enough of it, yes. Hitting the best, feeling pretty fucking.
All right. 3 minutes of silence. Not 3 minutes. 3 seconds of silence. I'm leaving that shit in.